Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So as you can see by the title, today we have the proper tutorial on how to make this little slit, nice and flowy cardigan. So in the video, I'm actually making this one for my niece. So here's like the little kid version, so you can make this adjusted to any size really, and I let you know how to make those adjustments within this video. So this video is all that you need on how you can make your cardigan of your very own, and it is very customizable, so you can really make this as short, as long, as oversized, as tight as you want to. I'm so excited to bring this video to you guys, and I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and comment what video you want to see next. If you haven't seen the last fail video, go ahead and check that out if you want to as well. So you may recognize this little wonky sketch from my last video, but this is just so you have a visual of how we make the cardigan. So basically, any cardigan that you make, despite the size, will be probably 3 squares wide for the back panel. This is the back panel right here. And for my adult size one, I did 6 squares long, but for the one in this video, I did 4 squares long since it is for my niece. And here I am starting to draw out the front panels, which for everybody will be 2 squares wide, and for my case I would make it 6 squares long, or in this video 4 squares long. So just make sure it's the same length as your back panel. And then for the sleeves, it's just tubes of 2 squares. And keep in mind that your squares will be different sizes depending on your size, but the layout will be pretty much exactly the same. Alright, so first we're going to make our square. So first you want to make a slip knot like so, and then you want to insert your hook and make a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Also for this cardigan specifically, I crochet super loosely just so it is more flowy and is more breathable for the hotter seasons. And now you just want to insert your hook into that first chain that you made and slip stitch so it makes a little loop. And now you want to chain up 3. And normal granny squares, they use the double crochet stitch, but we will be using the extended double crochet stitch just to ensure that it is nice and flowy and bigger than normal. To make an extended double crochet, we want to yarn over, go into the loop, pull up, yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through those last 2. Now we want to make one more of those. Oops. And there. So now we have 3 extended double crochets. This chain of 3 counted as 1 as well, by the way. Now we want to chain 1, this is our corner, and then we want to place 3 more extended double crochets. Alright, now we're going to turn another corner, so chain up 1 again, place 3 more extended double crochets. And these little groups, we will be calling those clusters. But all of these clusters are making up corner pieces as well. Chain 1 again, and then we'll be doing our last cluster. Chain up 1, and now we want to count up to our 3rd chain that we started out with. So 1, 2, 3, and we want to insert our hook in there and make a slip stitch to join that together. And as you can see, here we have the first little tiny square. And now here's how you make another row. You want to start off by chaining 3, and we like to flip the square over. And you see this hole right here, we're going to place a cluster here. So we'll place 2 more extended double crochets in this space. And now you see here, we are approaching a corner. So we're going to go ahead and place 1 cluster of extended double crochets like before. Now we will chain up 1 and then place another cluster in this same space to make the corner, like so. And again, I am crocheting very loosely for the purposes of this sweater. But now you see we are approaching another corner. So we will do the same thing, make another corner, then chain up 1, do another cluster so we can finish up this corner. And now we have another corner, so do the same things again. And now we are approaching the first cluster that we made. So we're going to go ahead and finish up this corner because this needs to be a corner as well. So we will just place another cluster in that same space, like so. Now we will chain up 1, count up 3, 1, 2, 3, insert our hook and make a slip stitch. And now you have 2 rows completed. Now we will start on our 3rd row. So chain up 3 once again. Finish this cluster, so we'll make 2 more extended double crochets in this space for a total of 3. And now right here you see this is no longer a corner, this is just a normal space, so we will just place a normal cluster. So, oops. When you crochet loosely, it is very hard not to tug on other parts of the yarn. Now we have a normal cluster. Now you see here is a corner, so we will be making another corner, which is a cluster, chain 1, and another cluster in the same space. And you want to continue doing this until you get back to the beginning of the square once again. So just making your corner pieces in your normal clusters whenever you're not at a corner, so like right here. So now we reach the end of our square again. We just want to count up 3 and slip stitch. So for me, I'm going to stop my square right here. I am actually making this cardigan for my niece. So you'll just want to chain up 1 and tie that off, leaving a tail long enough to sew it, well, to weave in later. And then you just want to act like you're making another chain, but you just pull it all the way through. So here's my finished square. For my own cardigan, I made mine 4 rows. So you basically just repeat row 3 and you'd make your corners, and then in all of the non-corner spaces you just place a cluster. So on row 4 you would have a corner and you'll have 2 non-corner clusters. So you'll have corner, 3 extended double crochet, 3 extended double crochet, another corner. And that's how you would do the 4th row, and 5th row would have the 3 normal clusters, and so on. So now I'm just going to show y'all how y'all can determine how big you want your squares to be. As you can see, this cluster is measured 4 by 4. And then the clusters that I made for myself, which are 4 rows, I'll just take this here for example, is, let's see, it was 6 by 6 unstretched, but since it's been worn, okay, it's still about 6 by 6. So since we know that our back panels are 3 squares wide and and my squares are 6 inches by 6 inches. That means it'll be about 18 inches wide unstretched, which is perfect for us. So just go ahead and measure your shoulder to shoulder width, and that can help you determine how big your square should be. So since these are 4 by 4 and they're 3 squares wide, that will be 12 inches wide, which is more than enough for my niece. So that's just how you can determine how big you want each of your squares to be. So here is our arrangement for the back panel. You can make it as long as you want. The length depends on how many squares long you made it. So you can make this as long as you want, as many squares as you want down. And then with the width, you make it long enough to stretch from shoulder to shoulder, or as long as you want if you want it to be more of a looser, oversized fit. But keep in mind, this is for my niece, so 3 squares wide won't be big enough for an adult size, but probably 4 or 5 squares wide will be perfect for you. Now I will show you how to join the squares together. So for me, I like to do strip by strip, and then I sew those strips together. So I'm going to show y'all how I make a strip. So first you want to make a slip knot with your yarn, and then you want to grab 2 squares, and I like to have mine end with the tail, and I'm just going to move these out of the way, by the way. So I like it with the tail on this side, and then tail on this side. So I always have it on the right side. Make sure your squares are facing the wrong side. So my right side is whenever, I don't know, it just has a different look to me. If you don't see a difference, it doesn't really matter, but to me it does have a different look. So these are the back sides for me, and I'm going to go ahead and connect them along this line right here. So I'll connect it in this corner, and I'll insert my hook into this corner, and then insert my slip knot through both loops and make a single crochet. And now I'm just going to line these up on top of each other and just go through both squares and continue single crocheting along this line. So single crochet here, single crochet here, and I like to do it loosely as well, since all of my stitches are loose, just so it doesn't make any singeing or tightness for the squares, and the squares are still allowed to be super stretchy. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue connecting these squares with a single crochet stitch until I reach the other corner. Alright, so now we reach the end. We're just going to chain up one and then cut it off, oops, and then cut our yarn long enough to sew in later. We'll weave in later. So now we have this right here, and now keep in mind that my cardigan is going to be 3 squares wide, so that means we have 1 more square to go. So just grab another one. Again, I like my ends to be all on the same side. So now I'm going to make a single crochet right here to connect these 2 squares together. And here is our completed strip. So this is the wrong side, and this is what the right side looks like. So now I'm just going to make 3 more of these strips, and then I'll show y'all how to connect the strips together. After that, our back panel will be complete. Alright, so now I made all 4 of my strips, and I'm just going to, I have the hiccups. We're just going to connect them vertically right here, and make sure your wrong sides are facing up when you do this as well. Alright, so now I have my finished back panel. If you need it to be a little bit wider and you don't want to make it a whole square wider, you can just do a granny stitch around the sides like so. If you want it a little taller but not a whole square taller, we'll just do the granny stitches along the top. And if you want both, you can just do the granny stitches around the whole thing. And I'll just go ahead and show y'all an example of what a granny stitch is. So it's basically the same as making a square, but you're just going to do it around the whole thing. So to do the granny stitch, is basically just like making the granny square. So at the corners, we're going to do the same steps, and in the spaces, we're still going to place those 3 extended double crochets. So you would just attach your yarn with the slip knot, and then we're going to go ahead and chain up our 3 like we normally do in making the squares earlier. And then we're going to place 2 more extended double crochets in that same space like normal. And then after that, in every space, we're going to make more clusters. Sorry, I messed up right here. But it's basically the same thing as a granny square. Like I said, you make your corners like we've done before, and then you put clusters in the spaces. So here is how I make a sleeve. I already made 2 little panels, the front and the back for the sleeve. And now I'm just going to place good side facing good side, and then we're going to make a single crochet along this edge and this edge, so then we'll have a little tube. And here is the finished sleeve. So for the adult size cardigan, I also made my sleeve 2 squares long, but I did do 4 rows for each square rather than 3 rows. And again, if you don't want to make your sleeve a whole another square longer, you can always just do the granny stitch around it, like around here and around the bottom, just to make the sleeve longer without making it wider. Alright, so now we have our finished front panel, and basically it's the same as the back panel and everything else. You just make strips and then single crochet those strips together. So for me, the front panels is a 2x4, and now I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all how to add a pocket. So you just grab another granny square, and then since this is for my niece, I'll just make the pocket on the second square rather than the third. For my own, I did the third, but I think it'll be better for her if I do it on the second. And now I'm just going to grab my yarn needle with some yarn attached to it, of course. Then just tie that. And then I like to place the tail where I'll end it. So I'm going to start by sewing over here, sew along until I reach right here, and then I'll cut and tie off and weave my end in to make the pocket. So now we have all of our pieces. First we're going to connect the front panels to the back panel. So we want to make sure that we have the back panel with the wrong side facing up. You can tell which one is the wrong side by the seams. And then we will flip the front panels like so. So put them on like how they're supposed to actually look, and then flip them up so we can make the seams along here. So as you can see, the front panels add up to be 4 squares wide, and this is only 3 squares wide. So I like to just mark where the middle is. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a stitch marker in the middle so we know where that is. And this is actually from my stitch marker collection, so yeah, it's a little crystal. And now I'm just going to single crochet from this edge to right here, and then from that edge to right there as well. Now we have the front panel sewn onto the back panel. As you can see, we have wrong sides all right here. So now we're going to flip it so that we have the wrong side of the front panel facing outwards, but we have the good side of the back panel visible to us. Now we're going to go ahead and sew the sleeves on. So with the sleeves, we're going to go ahead and turn those inside out since we are working with these seams on the outside. And now I'm just going to, sorry, that's the trash. But we're going to sew right here. And we'll do the same on the other side. We have the sleeve connected, and I'm going to show y'all how to connect the front panel to the back panel. So we're just going to move it this way. And for my adult size one, I did do a slit, and I will be doing a slit here as well. If you don't want a slit, you basically just single crochet these panels all the way down together. But for the slit, I'm going to stop my single crocheting right here, and I'm going to leave this flap open. I think up here will be too much of a slit since it is for my niece, so I think right here will be a good amount to stop at. So I'll be single crocheting from here to here, and then this side will be done, and I'll just repeat those same steps on the other side of the cardigan. And here's what it looks like whenever everything has been sewn, single crocheted on together. Of course, if you didn't weave in your ends as you went, it will look a lot messier, and that's why I was saying it is worth it to weave in those ends as you go along. And now I'm just going to show y'all what it looks like on my niece. Echo. Yeah. Good job. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos and tutorials. And peace.